Welcome to the podcast.
Another day of us talking
Yep, that's what
about
podcasts
something
are.
else.
So what are we talking about today, Taz?
We are talking about today climate change. We originally had an idea to talk about climate change, but then Mandy said
No, I said global. We said we were
global.
going to talk about global
Okay,
warming.
global warming,
And
whatever.
I said no.
I don't really
know
know
anything
much about that.
So we just talk over each other constantly.
Whatever. Just you said that. Oh my god, no.
Anyway,
I said that.
I don't really know any details about global warming, so I can't really talk about that.
Yeah, but then I said,
Climate
do we
change.
need to know details?
We don't need to know details. We're not here to talk about like the facts
I'm not here. Yeah, definitely not here to give you statistics about how much the temperature has increased over the last decade. That's not the point. And the point of this video, I think, is that that's not the point.
Yes, that's correct.
The point of this is that if you're living we should live like we care about the environment, not because
the world is going down the tubes.
Not because if you don't, the temperature may raise, which may lead to forest, whatever series of consequences that come from that should be irrelevant, really. We should live like we care about the environment.
Because we care about the environment.
It shouldn't be because of anything, any sort of,
you don't use things up to use things up
and then go, oh shit, it's breaking. Oh no. So now we should care or we shouldn't care. Is it real? Is it not real? No, we should treat the environment in which you live, the space around you, the people around you, the creatures in that space around you, like you care just because of that.
Because
you do care.
Because you're part of the environment.
Yeah, I think that every time I talk, I have to preface with by saying that I believe, and I don't just think it's a personal belief. I'm this is just how it is, that we are all connected. You can see evidence of that everywhere. Again, I don't really even think you need a scientific study that shows look, the quantum particles. I don't think you even need all of that to see that we're connected. You can see it in everything. You can see it in the fact that every cell in our body is connected. It's interconnected. It's working to make up the organism that we are. We live in communities. We have a planet that, again, every aspect of it is so, I guess you could just call it an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem in which every single part plays a very vital role to the survival of that ecosystem. And I don't know why humans somewhat think that they're separate from that. There's we're humans, we're living our human life, and then there's an ecosystem around us, and there's plants and animals, and we're not really part of that. And if we are part of that, we're at the top, and everything else is just kind of
is there for us.
Yeah, it's just there for us, and it just kind of works around us. We make whatever we want. We make whatever we want. We do whatever we want. Maybe that's problems. Maybe we make problems, and then the rest of nature just kind of fixes it for us, and just is kind of sweeping up our mess after, or dies. Yeah. You know what I mean? It lives to serve us. I don't understand how we've separated ourselves from the ecosystem. We are part of the ecosystem. We are all part of the ecosystem. Every single part of life plays a very vital role for the continuation of life. And so that's basically the basis for me saying anything is that we're all connected. We're all connected. And so we should live like we're all connected. That would probably produce the best quality life if we live like we're part of life as a whole.
How do you know we don't do that?
Whether you do it consciously, you try to, care for things around you. Mm-hmm. I'm not just talking about, yes, I am talking about nature and living beings, but I'm even just talking about your space. like the couch? Like, do you live with like an intention to care for the things that are in your presence? Like, or are you just kind of like, I'm just going to throw this everywhere and just kind of like make a mess and not really like care about anything? Like, this is just, again, disposable to me. And I guess that seems more like people kind of get that when they think about like non-conscious things. Like I think they feel more of a connection with living things. But I'm talking about just in general, just anything in your presence. Do you like treat it with care? Is it there? Like, are you like treating it like it has a purpose, or do you treat it like it's just garbage? I don't know. And so I'm not saying that innately, I think that we do this, and I think that it's unavoidable to do this. Like, I don't think you can, I think that you can maybe, in the hustle and bustle of life that we have caught ourselves in, you can ignore it for a time. You can sort of be like, I'm caught up in my own thing. I can't tend to that. I can't take my dog. I can't take my dog on a walk. I'm busy today. Like, I don't know. Like, you can do these things, but like eventually, like, I don't think that any of us are disconnected from empathy and for recognizing innately that we are connected to these things. And so I think that there will always be something, whether it's your intuition, whether you have to become still enough to hear it or whatever, that kind of like pulls on you and goes, maybe you should. Is that your stomach?
Yeah.
She's hungry.
I'm hungry.
I'm
she
hungry.
Wants to do this like
right before dinner.
She
doesn't want to do it after dinner.
No.
So I'm like, we had to do it sometime.
Yeah. So,
anyways.
Well, if we're all like if we all feel like we're connected, or we are innately connected, or whether we know it or not, we are. So then what's the problem?
I think that a lot of us, like I just said, are caught up in our own life. We're like on autopilot, a lot of us, and we just kind of like go about things, and we think like we're like, I gotta get things, like gotta do more, don't have time, don't have enough, gotta like do this. And so they're just like fighting for survival. It's really interesting, actually. Now I go on side tangents, and then I usually forget where my original point is going, but I'm going to try to remember. But I also, now that you said that, I'm like, I have something to say. It's like we're fighting for survival. But I don't think that necessarily it is a fight for survival. Like, if you think of life in its individual sections, like if you like to break it apart into sections again and think of it like even individual species, but if you're just thinking about it from a more individualistic perspective, it kind of seems like a fight for survival, of course, because it's based in competition. Like, a lot of even Darwin's theory of evolution, like, is very much based in competition. So it's like, just thinking about it in terms of separate versus interconnected. If you think about it in terms of separate, of course you think about it in terms of competition, because you have to. It's either me or you. It's either, and that can be individual or group or whatever. It's either me or you. So it becomes a fight for survival. And when you actually understand that we are all harmoniously working together to create this beautiful balanced ecosystem, that when there is something out of balance, it compensates in another way to find homeostasis. Like, nature does that. And when you think about this thing as like this beautiful interconnected system that always works together, it becomes less about competition and a fight for survival. You don't see life that way as much. You are able to move more with the flow of life because you understand that it actually is about cooperation, ultimately, between species, between people. That's what evolution and survival is about. It's not about competition, but it becomes that if you think about it from an individualistic perspective versus thinking about it from a collective perspective and understanding no, we're all working together to produce more life. We're always all working together. And so that was my side tangent. What were you originally talking about?
I don't even know anymore.
Well, okay.
No. Look,
no. Why don't people do that?
Why don't people do what?
Or are they doing that? Is that what you're saying?
Are they doing what?
Are they living like we're connected? And
yeah,
why don't
they? Are they?
I think that they are.
Are they?
Okay. I think that
Then we wouldn't be having this talk.
Things fluctuate. So I think we can go through periods where we've strayed from understanding that. But I don't think we can ever disconnect from understanding that. And so that's what I mean by like, there will always be like an intuitive pull on you to kind of go, whether that is, again, just empathy and recognizing, oh my God, I see that animal getting hurt. I don't want to hurt them. Look how sad they look. Ooh.
So my question to you is, what is your problem?
It's not necessarily a problem. I just think that we look at climate change wrong. We look at climate change and global warming wrong because we think of it as this thing that is, it's like we have to tackle. It's this event or whatever, this shift that we have to tackle. And it becomes very doom and gloom. And then some people deny it and they're like, no, it's not happening, or no, it's not. And I think that all of the talk about it is honestly just irrelevant. Like that's like thinking about it as this overwhelming feat that we have to accomplish isn't helpful either, because it's just making people go, fuck, I can't make all those changes. I don't know. Oh my God. Either gonna die because of it, and they just freak out. Like, I don't think doing anything or painting it in this like frame of fear is helpful. It's really irrelevant whether it's happening or not if you're living in alignment with truth. Like, and if the truth, and again, I don't claim truth on a lot of things, but I claim truth on one thing, that we're all connected. Like, I will stand on that forever. And if we're all connected, do you live like we're all connected? Like, being all connected just basically means like love. It basically means love. So it's like, do you live from a place where you extend love to the life that you live in? And I mean that by like the environment around you. The things that you experience. Do you extend love to them? Do you extend care to them?
I think most people would go, yes, I think I do.
Okay, and so I would say that it's...
What do you
say? No, you
go. No, I want to hear your answer.
Well, I would say that it is a constant becoming more in alignment with that. Because like I said, I think everyone is connected to it. Everyone, always. But we can always, just like the process of evolution, we can always refine that. We can always, in our daily actions, become more and more loving, so to speak, or more integrated in the understanding of connection in how we navigate our life. Yeah, I think we can become more refined in how we think, what we do, how we treat others, and how we treat the space that we live in, and the nature that we are afforded with. Like, if you think about it, literally, first of all, Earth is great. Like, I'm like, this is a beautiful planet. Sometimes I just scroll on TikTok, and I like, literally yesterday, I was scrolling on TikTok, and then, or not TikTok, Instagram, you know what I mean? I was scrolling, and I just was looking at all of the different plants and all of the different fruit and vegetables that we naturally just produce in this planet. If you look at these, if you go on, like, look up like landscapes, like beautiful landscapes, it's crazy how beautiful this planet is. And if that's not enough for you to be like, I want to care about it, like to take a moment out of your day, like a lot of the things that we say that we can't bother ourselves to do, you can do. Like, you can easily do it. But again, it's just like, because we've become so like caught up in this individualistic mindset of we're fighting for survival, we don't have time to breathe. I cannot. We just are like, I'm too caught up in my own, basically you're too caught up in your own bullshit to even take a moment. If it takes a moment to like recycle that thing, it is a constant refinement, like in your action. Well, and so it's not something that you like, what are you going to say? Just interrupt me, because I talk.
I know, like, she doesn't stop talking. You're like your grandfather. If anybody looks out onto the world and says, oh my gosh,
are there any issues?
Number one, or if you just look out into the world and say, oh, no problems. It doesn't matter if problems or not. Either way, like, I feel like you can always try to do things better.
If you looked out and you're just looking and what's that? And you see like, oh, that country is just they're in war again. Like, and they're part of the ecosystem. I know I know a lot of people like to like separate us and go, we're over here and like we're not in the war zone and they're in war zone and I don't know what's happening over there. Or even they like, I do know what's happening. But you can acknowledge that if we're on one planet, ultimately you can't like chop the planet in half. What happens over there affects us. And so if there's things happening over there that's like, those people don't look like they're in peace. I would also like you to ask yourself, do you feel at peace? Like, do you even feel at peace? Because I know that they may be experiencing like not peaceful things too, but again, all of it is interconnected. And so a lot of this shit like that is happening
definitely affects you, regardless of whether you think it is or not.
But not even if it affects you, you affect it too. And so like, I don't really see it as like there's that happening over there and there's this happening over here. I just say, what is like the general overall mood of the planet?
Right.
What's happening here? Where is there like, it's like if you looked at a body, is there like an injury over there? Should we tend to the injury? Like, what's happening over there? Because I see it as like, you're living in a body where you cannot separate the body. I can't be like, oh my gosh, this planet rushes over here and that's like my arms are separate from my torso. No. If there's a problem, it's affecting everyone and we're affecting it too. We're affecting its ability to heal as well. And so is there an issue? And it's not that it's an issue that is insurmountable. It's just like, what's happening? If you see, and we're going to get to this, like animals being slaughtered for food, and you see a video, like if you were to watch a video of it, because again, people like to like shut their eyes to a lot of shit. If you were to look at it, you go, do those animals look like they're like living their best life? Like, do they look happy, cramped up, and then dead? Like, this is what I mean. It's like, be reasonable. Be reasonable. Like, if you see that happening, go, they look like there looks like there's an issue that maybe needs to be tweaked out. No? And I think most people would agree. And so when you see an issue like that, a lot of the time, these things look like big problems that are like, how do we solve that? How? I don't get it. It's so much like climate change. But you understand that every single action that you take, and actions are just extensions of like your thoughts. So like every single thing that you do or what you think or just how you live plays a part in it. So it's not so much that it's like that old saying when they talk about like, if everyone gives $1, everyone donates $1, we make a bunch of money. It's $1 billion now because everyone gave $1. It's in, and I don't like to call it the little things, but it's in just the day-to-day living, the day-to-day choices you make. And a lot of it, like I said, it is a process. It's a process of refinement. So I'm not expecting it to be like jumps, but it will smooth out easier than you believe that it is, because if we are all connected, then health is natural. The health of a system should be natural. It's a natural state of the system. And so if we kind of stop blocking it from being unhealthy, like by putting our 2 cents in, nature will naturally just bring it back to homeostasis. It will be healthy. It will be balanced. If you see imbalances on the planet, like there's some super starving people and some not, like it's just like, why is there such an imbalance? This system should be balanced. There's no reason why there should be such a drastic imbalance anywhere. So if there is,
which there obviously is,
I would say, if it's about the small day-to-day choices that we make, like that's how we impact it. But those small like day-to-day choices, like the biggest things that are affecting climate change right now, it's not like how much water like if you take a long shower, it's not that.
The cars.
It's not really even the cars. It's literally the food industry. That is the biggest contributor to climate change. Like the amount of habitat loss, like we rip down these, it's not just like the cows farting. It is the methane, but it's not just the cows farting. It's the amount of like, we're ripping down rainforests to make soy, I think it's soybean that feeds the cows. It's not just like, again, it's not just the cows. It's we're ripping down rainforests. We rip down these things that have effect, like they have ripple effects of the entire like weather system. Like if you get rid of the rainforest, that fucks with the entire, like, I don't know all of the details about this, but it affects how, like, I think it has to do with like air and rainfall and all of that. Like it affects the climate of the entire globe. You can't just rip up one spot because you're like, we need more or crop to feed the cows because so many people need this meat, and just processed foods. Like we need all this stuff. So let's rip it up, kill the animals. We don't care. We need it.
So you're saying I should be vegetarian?
I'm not saying that, because this is the thing. This is a beautiful thing. And we made a video about conscious consumption. I implore you to watch that entire video because we go into depth more about it. But the beauty of this, the beauty of the change that I think is like number one on the list, like easiest change to make. Food waste. We waste so much food. It's ridiculous, and it's so like, it's like a slap in the face to the people who are starving on this planet. It is craziness. And so here's the beauty of it. You wouldn't even have to change what you eat. You wouldn't have to actually eat less. I think you should. I think you should eat less meat. But you wouldn't have to eat less. You would just not have to waste it. You know how many people buy, like, they're like, I want this fast food thing, and then they don't even eat half of it. They're like, that was good. Throw it out. I worked at a restaurant. So many people buying full like steaks, have a few meals. Oh my God, I'm at this cool restaurant. Like, that's so cool. Like, took a few pictures, throw it out. That's insane. That to me, like, I don't feel like I'm asking anything except for people to be reasonable. That's not reasonable. Like, if you think about feng shui, I'm just like, I think about things, again, balancing things out. That's what feng shui is about, balancing the energy. And I like see things, I'm like, well, just put things reasonably where they are. If it's food, it should be in your mouth. And then it should be excreted from your body or whatever. And even, again, poop can be decomposed. Like, it can be used for compost and stuff. Like, you can watch videos of these people who like fully like regenerative housing or whatever, yeah, where it's just like it goes in a cycle. I'm not even saying to go that far, but I'm just saying, like, where should food go? Into your mouth. Should not go into the trash. Why is it going there? Why did you kill a cow to make the food that you put in the trash? That is not reasonable. That just, to me, I'm like, that makes no, like, literally just looking at a system, you're like, that efficiency makes no sense. It makes no sense to have
on
that.
top of it, like you said, you're wasting your money.
You're wasting your money. This is a win-win for everyone. You're wasting your money to buy this food that you think you need because you live in this consumer, remember the driving force behind the individualistic way of life, fighting for survival. It's very much like hoarding mentality. It's very much like, I don't have, I need more. Like, that's what is driving you. It's like, and then you get all this shit, and then you go, I actually can't eat this all. And then you throw it out. Like, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, actually. And then you get all this shit, and then you throw it out. And so if we were to cut down on that, like, thankfully my family doesn't do it as much anymore, but my family, I swear to God, they used to have so much meat, and they still kind of do. So much meat, and then they go to the store and buy more meat. I go, what, you have a freezer full of meat. Why don't you eat the meat? And I don't have this meat. And okay, that's crazy. Eat what you have. Use what you have. The world has enough for your need, not enough for your greed. It's crazy. If we were to just try our best, like I said, very in like day-to-day decisions. The beauty of it is you definitely like, we get a lot of grace, I would say, from nature. As much as we say nature's a beast, like it's so unforgiving. No, like nature's very forgiving. You get a lot of grace. Okay. So if you don't do the perfect decision, like if you get something and you're just like, I just can't finish this or whatever, even though you should like save it for leftovers and then eat it. Because maybe, because again, tomorrow, you go look in your fridge, you go, I don't want to eat that leftovers. I've eaten it for 2 days now. Well, maybe that will be your thought next time you go to the store and you think, I should buy that again. You go, fuck, I had to eat that for 3 days after just to get rid of the leftovers. And then you
one less chicken breast.
Then you won't buy it as much, because people always talk about like, they like, that's another thing about our like Western world. We like are very much like about like our feelings, and which is great. Like I think we should be emotionally intelligent and we should be like expressive of our feelings. I'm all for that. But when it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to feel bad ever. And I don't think you should feel guilty. Like I said, nature is very forgiving. I don't think you're supposed to feel guilty, but there is a thing called a conscience. And so if you feel like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't do that again, maybe don't do it again. And maybe that thing that's like, oh, it made me feel like, well, what's more important, your feelings or the animal's life? I don't know. Especially if your feelings are like coming from an illusion anyways. Like they are like just based off of like some sort of lack mentality based thought or whatever it is.
If you had to look at your poor dog in the eye and he was what you're
yeah,
gonna eat.
That's another thing too. That's another thing. Okay, well, no.
I think you
supply and demand. That's the thing. If we didn't demand so much, then they wouldn't supply so much. The reason why supply is there is because there is a demand there. And so this isn't like, I don't like when people like separate themselves from society institutions and I go, they're manipulating us and they're just making us buy this meat. Look at all those Wendy's ads. Like they did it. We're too stupid to know. No, you're not. You're not too stupid to know. You may be too lazy, should I say? I don't know. Like some people, okay, I'm not saying there's not like, this hasn't been a systemic thing, but I will say that like, I think people don't give themselves enough credit to actually be aware of this stuff and to see where they can make changes and to understand and be honest with themselves where they're actually just justifying their laziness to make a change. And they like the convenience of it. And they're like, no, like I couldn't possibly resist that. No, you can, and you have more power than you think you do. And if you do, then they won't make as much. They won't supply as much because they won't need to. And then maybe we can get off this hamster wheel of like not thinking and just do it, like not actually like thinking what we're doing, not doing anything with attention. And we can slow the process down enough that we can go, maybe. Because the reason, I don't believe that any of the people who are factory farming right now, like, I think they're people just like me and you, and they have empathy just like me and you. So I don't think that people are just like fucking sadists who go in there and who are like, I'm gonna smash these like pigs and I don't give a fuck about them. No, I think that they're just, again, like everyone else who says they're like just go. I don't think, I don't have time to think, whatever. They're on this like hamster wheel, autopilot, as you'd like to call it. They're just thinking about money, their need to get money and getting as much as they can, doing as fast as they can, getting as much as they can because there's money on the line. Our society is driven by a lack mentality. As much as it likes to showcase that it's abundant, a lot of it is driven by a lack mentality. That's why there's so much excess. There's no like pace at which it's actually going with the flow. It's just like thinking ahead in the future. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need this. And we're gonna need that. And then you don't even use it. That's crazy. But anyways, I don't think these people are sadists. I don't think they're like evil. I just think that they're trying, like everyone else. They're like, I gotta do what I gotta do to make this money. I gotta do it.
Working their business.
Yeah, they're working their business.
They need to, yeah.
And so if we slowed it down enough that they could actually think and become in tune with the part of them that innately recognizes that we are connected to everything, they would think, maybe I can not even get rid of the factory farming at all, like completely, just adjust the way that we do it in a way that it is more ethical. Like we can give the animals, it's like free range. Like we give the animals some space. We give the animals some sunlight. Probably make the meat taste better. Probably make the meat and I know that people don't want to talk about like the energy of whatever, but like the energy that you consume, like you're eating, like what do you think happens when you eat a cow that's miserable? Do you think that just like it goes away when it's in your body? It's like, I'm a happy person, even though most of them are lying when they say that. I'm happy, so it eats in me, and I'm living my best life, and I eat the cow, and the cow is miserable.
I eat a lot of miserable cows.
I'm just saying, it couldn't hurt to eat a happier cow.
That is true.
It couldn't hurt.
That's true. That is a quote.
It couldn't hurt.
I am getting you a shirt that says that.
I'm just saying, if you eat a happier cow, it's a win-win again for everyone.
Yeah.
Like you eat better quality meat, happier animals, they get to live their good life, and then maybe they do get slaughtered, maybe. But I also think another thing, not just the supply and demand, we've become too detached from the process of certain things. We need to become more attached about your feelings. If it makes you sad, maybe there's a reason you should be sad. I don't know. Like for example, if you're watching a factory farming video, most of us, like when they see that PETA ad, they're like,
scroll.
No, I don't want to see it. I literally will watch it. Because I'm like, if I feel something, maybe that will change how I live. Maybe it should change how you live. Because you can't, like, we have become so like separated from each other, but also just separated from nature, and just so we're like in our houses, like, ooh, I'll just order that, and not thinking about the process.
The miserable cow.
The miserable cows. I'm just saying, you're so detached from the process of things. It's so easy for you now, so convenient for you now. Mm-hmm. You're so detached that you don't have to think about all of the animals that had to get killed so that you could have one hot dog. And so if you were to, let's say you had to kill your animals yourself. How many people would actually kill the animal themselves? Not many. Not many people would. And I said this in the conscious consumption video. If you did kill the animal yourself, you wouldn't waste any of it. You wouldn't waste any of it. That's why the fucking native people and all the people who actually kill animals themselves, they like you go into ethnic grocery stores and you're like these immigrant like run grocery stores, and you're like, why do they have all these weird animal parts? Like, because they're not fucking like, they're using everything. I don't think they're coming from a lack mentality when they're thinking, I have to use everything here. I think it's actually from just, again, a face-to-face interaction with these things where they're like, I genuinely appreciate your sacrifice. I guess it's a gratitude mindset, but it's just like the opposite of entitlement. Like where it's like, oh, I can just waste this and throw this and it doesn't matter to me because I don't have to deal with the consequences. Like it's actually like, okay, shit, I know the sacrifice. I actually know how hard I worked to get this animal. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use every part. I'm not saying that every single one of them is there when it happens, but I'm just saying there's a level of, there's like, if some people are directly a part of the process, some people are one step removed. We're like fucking 10 steps removed from the process. It's just getting us a little bit closer to the process so you understand what actually happens, what has to happen in order for you to have the lifestyle that you have. And if you do have the lifestyle that you have, what are you wasting? What are you wasting in it? Because that's the first place that needs to be addressed. I'm not even asking you to address the things that you're like, you could do better. I'm just asking you to address what is actually you're not using even. You're not even using it. That is probably the first step. And becoming more attached to the process. So that just has to do with becoming more aware. And as you become more aware, you may feel those conscious or conscience things in your body going, I don't know if I should continue to do this. And then maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't. And maybe you don't have to throw out that lifestyle right away. Maybe you can be like, I'm going to eat one day less. I don't know if you guys have seen, like the PETA things, like most people, when they buy their products, like clothing products, and they're just like, I'm just going to Coachella for the weekend. I need a new outfit. And they're like, shit, I got to like go on Fashion Nova or Shein or whatever the fuck it is. And they get a new outfit and they're not even thinking about this. They're like, I'm going to buy these products and just try them on. And like, as much as I get it, like, I watch some influencers too. I know influencers too. So I'm like, not like, I'm not trying to like criticize their hustle, but I just want people to be a little more aware. And I'm not telling you like I don't have any clothes from H&M either. I do. But it's just about like being a little more considerate, because the factory, the just like as much as the factory farming is harmful to animals, like they're like your clothes are usually made in like from child labor in third world countries. Like, it's a little inconsiderate. Like, it's just, think about what you actually need. Do you actually need that outfit? Could you get it secondhand? Maybe. Like, go to the thrift store. It's crazy because people love to like look like they're like vintage now. They like love to like
Right.
the clothing stores are making their clothes look distressed. And I'm like, well, just go to the vintage shop. Like, just go find something that is secondhand. Just go to the thrift store. And no, we can't all afford the vintage shop. Go to the fucking thrift store. Like, actually, go to the Salvation Army. You don't want to be seen walking in there? What's more important? You don't want to be seen walking in there, or the kids who are having to sew it with their 5-year-old hands? Like, I don't know. Again, that's another thing that I'm just like, it's just be a little more reasonable. Be a little more reasonable, be a little more aware. And then this thing that is like all this like daunting climate change. Oh my God, what do we do? How do we tackle it? Do we need to do like carbon taxes? Stop eating so much meat that you're not even eating. No, stop throwing it out. Start there. Like, start with the ones that could actually help everyone. And that, again, help the consumer because you don't have to spend money on it. Start there. Start being a little more creative with the clothes you wear. It's like again, I don't like to call them baby steps, but it really is like, just take immediate steps in your day-to-day life. And as you move in more alignment with understanding and the connection between all things and actively living like you are connected to all things, then your actions will become more refined.
That just, once you start thinking that way, even for what you eat or, the clothes you wear or whatever, then that just broadens out into every part of your life.
Yes.
Like we were
You see
talking
it
about the
everywhere.
houses. Like, do I need, like, we live in this house. Thankfully, we fill this house up. It's a pretty big house. We're lucky to live in this house. Do we need all of the things in it? No. It's kind of full. The basement's got, full band practice down there. We have enough. How many people live here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like 5 of us live here. Are there spaces that we don't need? So that I know for myself, and I wouldn't have known these things had I not lived them. Like, if you don't have anything, you might think you need all these things, but once you get them, then you can look back and I never even go in the basement. I didn't use that room ever. So like, if I was going to buy another house, maybe it would be a room or two smaller, just on a smaller piece of land. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are people, I see them. Like, the people across the street live in a 3,500 square foot house. There's 2 people. Next door, same thing. Like, I remember the people who live beside us, 5-bedroom house, a couple. Like, why would you do that? If you have 4 kids, maybe, but like, if you don't, then why do you need such a big house? That doesn't even make sense. So like Tess was saying, if there's no demand for these things, the supply goes down, and it could just be simple as, you just live in a bungalow instead of a 2-story 5-bedroom house. Like, houses are the same as clothing, the food you eat, all of those things. When you really take a hard look at how you live, what are you wasting? What do you not need to have? And like she said, it's not even like you're going to suffer. It's just stuff you don't even use, where you could save money, you could spend your time doing other things. Like, it just makes sense.
Yeah. And it's just like, it comes back to, again, take what you need. Take what you need. Again, if you have like a room, a house with a giant room, like imagine this whole side of the house wasn't being used ever.
Yeah.
Then it's like, how many like rabbit families or fox families or whatever, earthworm families, or just how much life, how many how many like bird houses could live here? Because it's not just you here.
Yeah.
Humans need to get off that they think that it's just like that we are the shit and everyone else is secondary. That is a very, very, very detrimental mentality. It's the cause of all conflict, and people like a lot of people think that they don't think that way. Like they think that, oh, I don't think that I'm racist. I don't think that I'm whatever, because I believe that all humans are the same. But then they treat that way, they act like that towards animals. And I get it that they're in a different, like they have a different level of like reality, I guess, than we do, even though I believe that we're all,
we don't even know that.
But I'm just saying they're part of a different, like you couldn't have sex with them to keep the species going. Like we're in a different species. Like it's just a different sort of group, I guess. But even still, like, even though they don't seem as necessary to our survival, when you look at the grand scheme of the ecosystem and you see how much different species interact and they are all part of like this, them doing this, it's like when you see that whale and the whale has like all those fish like sucking on the skin of the whale, and it's like they have like this, what is it, symbiotic relationship. We have a symbiotic relationship. It may not be like direct,
with everything.
Yes, with everything.
This affects that, affects this, affects that, and it's not not always direct, but it's not something.
Exactly. And if you have a space, it comes back to usefulness. If you're not even using it, other things can use it. Why do you have it if other people aren't, if it's not even being used? That to me is like, it's disrespectful to the space. It's just the space here. I'm like, well, you're not even using it. Just let other people use it.
You know what I think is the craziest thing of all of that is the fact that why do we do anything in this world? We do things to get love. Basically,
everything's about love. Everything started with love and it ends with love.
But the thing is, how you look, the clothes you wear, the makeup you wear, the house you have, the everything, nobody gives a shit about it. If they love you, they love you. They don't love your house. They might love your house. They might go, you have a great house. But does that mean they're going to love you? Like, you may have the greatest clothes, but does that make that everyone love you? Ask the Kardashians, I'd say, how that's like, what? People don't love you because of
some people do, but it's temporary.
It is temporary.
It's very, very temporary. And if you want long-standing, enduring love, then again, it's not going to come from how anything looks.
No,
or what you have, or what you don't have. Yeah. None of it makes a difference. None of it makes a difference. And if the people who care about that stuff, like if you're doing your life, living your life to please people who care about that stuff, just know that it was very short-lived. Yeah. Very, very short-lived. And in reference to our climate change talk, unsustainable. It's completely unsustainable. And so no wonder your environment reflects that. Your environment's going, this is unsustainable. Because you're living with like very, very shaky, transient values. So of course they don't last.
If you wanted someone to care about you, how do you get that? Go and
be yourself.
Be yourself and help other people.
Be yourself.
Like that's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, be yourself and connect with the part of you that is like true love. And I was talking about this with someone at Zach's thing, actually. And we were talking about true love. And I'm like, the doorway to true love is about getting outside yourself. It's like, again, if love is about connection, then the way to experience connection is to get outside of your bubble.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that, yes, often it means helping others or doing stuff for others, or just losing yourself.
Well, recognizing we are all connected.
Yes, but that usually has to do with getting outside of yourself.
Yeah, totally.
And so if you want love, true love, then you have to understand what true love is, and you have to be that true love and admit that true love and live in that. And again, pleasing, that's how you have something that, like, of course the planet is acting like, oh gosh, this is unsustainable if you're living with unsustainable, if you're living with an unsustainable mentality, if you're living with unsustainable values. Yeah, then it is. But if you align yourself with universal, timeless principles, like, again, intention, balance, cooperation, whatever, sustainability, then your life and your environment will reflect that. It's that simple. And it's not about if something happens, are we doing this to avoid something happening? No, you're just doing it because it feels the most authentic to you. Because this is like, if you're living in accordance with truth, then you will be living your most peaceful, authentic, happiest, best life. And you want that. People want that. Everyone wants that. You're trying to figure out, how do I get this? Do I get it with this thing that doesn't matter, or this thing that doesn't matter? No, it comes from being authentically you. And you can't be authentically you if you avoid that you are connected with, if you avoid the recognition that you're connected with everything. Because everything is you. And so if you ignore that you are connected with everything, that's the number one thing that makes you you. Truly. And I know that seems sort of like counterintuitive. You're like, how does me being uniquely myself have to do with recognizing connection in all things? It's not about restricting people. It's actually about awareness and education. Because that's what I mean. When you know that you're connected with everything, you naturally will come in, like, your actions will naturally reflect that. You don't need to be told you can't do that. You can't do this. You just won't.
Want to.
You just won't. You'll want to do the right thing
differently.
Yeah. So definitely education is key over hard rules. That isn't to say that you can't do certain things. Like, I was thinking about this. I think it's kind of like, some people will be like, that's kind of much. But I honestly think, I'm like, you should show, like we see the birthing video in school. I think that you should show kids factory farming in school.
And how clothes are made.
And how clothes are made.
Everything.
All of that stuff. So that they are aware. Because a lot of the time, like, these patterns get passed down from older generations. I'm not blaming older generations or anything, because, like, I don't think it's,
I get it.
But I'm just saying, we do things, and then ways of doing things get passed down.
Yeah.
We never stop to think. It's, again, this whole thing of we just keep going. We never actually stop to go, should we do that? And I think that we should, instead of getting a kid, like, set up in patterns, like, oh, I'm just doing this because my parents do this, they put that food on my table and I eat it and that's what it is, and we eat like that. Sometimes we throw it out. It doesn't really matter. Like, they should be aware at an early age to make new decisions so that we can update and upgrade and whatever.
Yeah. My favorite quote is, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't
know.
know what
So
you
you have
know.
to teach people things that matter so that they can make better decisions.
You don't need to be perfect. Like, there are some, like, spiritual practices or whatever, just people who are, like, so, like, anal about it. They're like, I can't even, like, step on an ant. I just have to watch where I can't even move them because I don't want to harm anything. And I don't think you have to be so strict. It's just about taking, like, going to the extreme of what is actually, like, obvious in your life, addressing it there, and eventually reining it in. Because if somewhere, like, the food waste is, like, blaringly obvious, like a problem, that's the number one contributor to climate change, and it's the most avoidable thing, let's do that. Target that first and move forward. Don't stress too much. Don't beat yourself up about it. If you want nature and life to treat you like it wants you around, then you should treat life and nature and other beings in nature like you want them around. That's it.